So let's do this the dirty way. But first, I kind of want to break away with this. Okay, because I kind of like this was decoupled from everything else. So we're going to change this. And we're going to create an actual UI slot for this. Okay, so this can be our navigatables though. Yeah, okay, let's do this in here. So let's call this as UI slot. And basically all it's going to have, the UI slot, will be to take away this. Let's paste it down here. We also want the base color. And we want all of them to go. Yeah, okay. We're going to cut all of that. Then into our UI slot, let's go find it again. Well, we have to open it first. Because we're using events, we're also not going to be, we don't have to worry about the missing references as well. Let's paste this in here. Now we do need a reference to our user interface. Okay, and of course we will need the method that does the onApply. So that will be public void onApply. So give me a second. Okay, so we're going to have the icon hook for image, icon hook for image, icon hook. Okay, and we can make this public, or we could just make this on awake to go and get it itself in children, because we don't really need to have it on the same game object. Icon hook for image. So on apply, we could basically also store a few things. So for example, we can save the item. Let's see. Yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just say icon hook for image replacer, or we could just pass the item itself. But for now, I think let's just do it the same way we're doing it before. Icon hook for image replacer, and then this will happen on everything we have on the UI manager in here. It will be in here. But because we're not using the icon hook for image anymore, we're using the UI slots. So I'm going to be passing the UI slot then. And then let's change the ones we need. We have the icon hook, and then replacer dot icon hook. Okay, so now that's decoupled as well. Then on the UI manager, we're going to be saving the UI slot instead. And same with this. And instead of replacing that, we're just going to say on the stored slot dot on apply, pass the replace slot. And that's about it for that. Of course, we do have to set up the logic again for these ones. That's pretty easy, as you can see, especially since we do not have to worry about navigating. Yeah, I know I talk a lot about that because it's really that awesome, to be honest, because it alleviates a pain we had on pretty much any other times we try to do an inventory in this series, which is about 3 to 4 times. So let's set up the background, which is this, and the icon hook. Of course, we don't have to drag and drop it because it will get the reference by itself. All we have to do now is say that on deselect, you can have the on deselect, and on select you can have the select. Okay. Yeah, for some reason saving that takes a bit of time. Yeah, maybe Unity froze actually. Okay, so let's make this 4. Then we have to do the same for these slots as well, but I'm just going to copy one of them, drag and drop them there, and just copy them. Then we have to change, instead of store slot, we have to change this to replace item on store slot. Okay, and each one will have its own item and its own, actually, let's see, yeah, okay. And this will change on the UI manager to open the inventory. I think that's all about that. Let's change one of their icons then, or some of their icons, to something else. And let's hit play. Okay, and voila, it does work fine. Awesome. Okay, so that's decoupled. Let's see where this reference is. You see the object, because that's the object, so let's delete that. So let's make it so whenever you are changing now one, you will be changing also a value on the player profile. Now here's the thing, for now I'm just going to change the stored ID for, okay, we don't really need anything else. Keep in mind that because it's a scriptable, the player profile is a scriptable object, you are actually going to be changing the values in there as well. Okay, we're going to have to take care of that later, but for now, for testing, it's not really going to do much of a change. So we have that, and then we can do a public void apply on player profile. Okay, and for that we're going to need a public integer for the index of the slot, and we're also going to need to know if it's is left hand or is right hand. Okay, so let's say is left here. We're going to be setting this from the inspector, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to pass the player profile on this right after it unfreezes. Okay, then if is left, else. So if it's on the left hand, then all we do is left hand index equals the ID we have above. Okay, the stored ID. We will be doing this and we will updating this dynamically, the IDs that is, later, so don't worry about that for now. Okay, then on apply, we're also going to be changing the store ID to what you have on the replacer dot stored ID. Okay. Then, well, technically, every time you change one of these, you should be also changing the... You should be updating the references inside your player, but for now, we don't have to do that. So, with that said, I think we could just drop this. We shouldn't... Yeah, I think we can get this directly on the play, to be honest. So, on apply, let's call this as well. And we can get the player profile with a shortcut. If we go... Actually, let's see what... I think we're already doing that. That's why. No, we don't. But we can. The same way we're doing this via the settings. The same thing we're doing with the resource manager. So we're going to create a static player profile. Player profile with an underscore. Then we're going to have public static player profile. Player profile. And we're going to have a getter. And if player profile is null, player profile dot or equals resources dot load player profile as player profile and return the player profile. Okay, then on your UI slot, hold on. Okay, so basically we don't even need to call that because we could just say player profile p settings dot player profile. Okay, and that will update it by itself. Minimize that. We're going to have to set up all of them. Basically just give them indexes. Let it compile first though. We're having a little bit of a downtime because this takes a lot to compile. So let's select this. Of course this will be the first one, second one, third one, and fourth one. Okay, for this I don't really need to have a stored ID. I can just go in my resources. Well, first of all we need to change this to player profile because that's the name we gave it inside our script. Okay, so we are targeting the right hand and the left hand, and I'm going to set this up as well. Okay, that's the clothes, and I think we're going to use 4 of them, and I'm going to delete the rest, just going to keep the first one above, or we can just delete all of them. So saving that, but we do have to go and change the IDs here. So let's give the first one the Firecaster and the second one the Great Sword. Just so that we do not confuse ourselves, delete that. Okay, let's give this a shot, although there's not much to test because, well, you know, we're not really changing anything. All we can do is just keep an eye on the stored ID, select that, select the first one, and we can see that it's updated to the Firecaster. So let's do the dirty thing now and say that for your UI manager, well, the UI manager actually yeah, okay, now let's really make this the dirty way. That will be to have a public bool is profile dirty method, and we're going to add that inside our UI slot. When we update this, we're going to be saying UI manager singleton dot is profile dirty, set that to true, and then either inside the input manager or even inside the inventor manager, if we keep an update, which we don't because there's really no point to keep an update over there. So let's do this inside our own, or maybe let's do this inside late update. So we're going to be checking for if UI manager dot singleton dot is dirty profile. Set that to false, and then we're going to force the inventor manager to update via the init. Let's see where we initially call it. Or actually, I don't think we need to do the init. We just need to do the update references from profile. So let's do, let's do a public void force update from profile. Okay, obviously because we have the profile saved now, we don't really need to be using this at all. But it doesn't either hurt anyway, so whatever. So update reference pro profile, settings, player profile. Then on the input manager, we're going to be saying controller, inventory manager, force, update from profile. So let's give this a shot, which means if I'm going to select an item which has a valid ID, it should give us one of the items onto our hands. So it should give us the greatsword or the firecaster. I'm going to use the, yeah, that's of course the first one. So let's see. And true enough, it did work. That actually worked much better than expected, to be honest. I thought we will have some options or some items not getting destroyed, but that actually worked beautifully. Let's see what we have on the right hand. Yeah, okay, we are not clearing the references, so keep that in mind. But let's say we have two great swords over here. Okay, and let's say we go on to our player controller and say that you're no longer inside the, actually we want the input manager, so you're not longer inside the input manager, you can attack normally, and we want to change the item, and true enough we can do it, but I think it's stuck now, so it doesn't change. That could be from the input, however, and not from the what we just did, because we changed. No, we didn't change anything there, did we? Debug left, debug right. I don't. Yeah, we changed that, so that could be from here and not from the other way around. So let's go and say right arrow, handle dpad. Yeah, no, that works. Well, one way we can test this would be to just have a debug log over here. I'm going to say switch. And let's go inside and we can say handle switch weapon. If you're interacting, then switch weapon. We can just drop a debug.log. L.count. Let's just throw a debug log saying how many items we have. Take that, then move this over here or somewhere else, really. Close that, hit play. And let's give this a shot again. I'm going to change this for the greatsword. I'm going to also change this for the firecaster and this for the greatsword as well. Then let's open up, the menu is open. Then we have 4, we can see that. Don't know why it's 4. I think it's 4 because we are doing an additive operation. No, that now it works normally actually. So I don't know. maybe we were stuck before on something else, but you can say that this works perfectly, and we can rotate and do anything we could before. Awesome. So you know what, I think that's about it for this part as well. So let's finish this part. Of course, we have to clean this up a lot, but it's the first step that counts. So that's it for this part. As always, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and if you like to see more stuff, more videos, more series, more of everything, then of course consider supporting me on Patreon so we can keep making all of these nice things we're making. I'll see you next time.